how it goes, but I'm here.
No, you're not. You're a figment of my imagination. Welcome, everybody, to the Skull Hunter Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Anchor, all-in-one platform that you need. Such a podcast today. Thank you, Anchor, for sponsoring the podcast. Joining us today, we have some peeps. We have same old little sausage, Charles. We have big brain Joseph, and joining him today.
That was actually nice.
Yeah, dude. I compliment what's needed. And James never came back from milk, so we found a replacement. We have the guy who did come back, Dad. Dad, also known as Carl.
I brought the milk.
Dad brought the milk. He did come back. He brought the milk. James is still hunting at this point. He's still finding that cow. He's over there chasing in the field. Let me milk you. I gotta get back. No, we love James. He's definitely a fam. I guess we should introduce Dad mainly because it's his first time being on the podcast. Is this your first podcast? No, you were a part of the Brittany Richardson Experience podcast.
Yeah, I did that one. I did a couple other ones, but not like affiliated with you guys at all.
Yeah, so this is the first time you're affiliated with Skull Hunter Games podcast. We did do what was it? Rainbow Six.
We did a video collaboration together too for Corn Dog and one of your things.
Yeah, we did some video games, we did some streaming, and we also did
ice cream and some other stuff.
I still don't know how that ice cream actually made it to a solid. That was witchcraft.
I don't know why I didn't either, but it worked out pretty good. It wasn't too bad for a mess it made.
No. So since you are new here, tell a little bit about yourself. How are you doing? How is your week?
Oh, my week is all right. I'm doing pretty good. Operations manager and consultant for operations manager for a local company, running truck trailers across the U.S., and a consultant for a global consulting firm for international and U.S. transportation. 6 kids. Jordan here's my youngest.
Just call me the most successful one.
The successful one.
Thanks.
Justin was a freaking cop.
Didn't know I was going to be calling her lying, but all right.
Whoa! you get this, Joseph? Cancel. Cut it all out. It was the truth. I'm the youngest somehow, and looking the most like my father, and it's amazing. We even got the gray hair going on. Got
rock the gray. I've got the gray beard going on now too.
Unfortunately, I ended up having
Your mother loves it. Oh, sorry.
I actually ended up. This is the dumbest thing. I have grays through here, and I know it's genetic, and I understand it's genetic. But I have so much gray hair because of your and mom's genes. I have so much gray, and I'm just like, no one's going to ever know my age. So now every time I introduce myself, I'm just like, hi, my name's Jordan. I'm 23.
Just get right out the bat, huh?
Right, but you also have life.
No.
Thanks to them.
Yeah.
I still can't believe you're only 5 years younger than me, Jordan.
I can't believe you talk to a 16-year-old.
Shut up.
I can't believe jailbait. So that was Dad's week. Charles, how are you doing?
I know, right? Last night was freaking fun as shit when we were slamming our heads against the wall knowing as Halo 3 on Legendary. We got practically halfway through the game in one night. We probably could have beat the damn thing in one night too if we wanted to.
Oh yeah, but I had a podcast to get up. The podcast that released today. I had to get up, and I was so behind on everything. And I had to sit there and just like get it up, and I was already running late for everything. I had to edit Brittany's projects and other people's projects, and in my own projects. Tomorrow's a big day for Dead by Daylight, so had to work on that. So unfortunately, we couldn't, sadly, but it was a ton of fun. And I would like the record to state, according to the sheet of paper that we both keep track, I died 37 times in Halo Legendary halfway through the game. Charles died 75.
I'm the one usually thinking. I'm not the one hiding in the back somewhere. Thinking I'm the one
I
thinking.
wasn't hiding. I was playing the game. You just can't play the game right. You suck.
I'm freaking prove that. They can 1v1 me, noob.
I played in competitive tournaments. Only thing competitive you did was a hot dog eating competition. You came in last. You couldn't take the cock. What? But no. So yeah, you died double the time. But a total, we died over 100 times. So you know, it is what it is. But anything else happened through your week?
No, not really.
Okay.
Just
Bet.
been doing my thing with my YouTube channel like I normally do.
Nice. Joseph, there's been some news on your end, quite a few of it. I really want to hear about you getting you got zucked.
Yeah. So do you guys like those anime discords that I invited you to?
Dude,
I never got an invite.
no joke. I've been getting these like animated Discord channel invites constantly through everyone. I saw you did it, and I went, huh? And as soon as I saw it, it disappeared, and I went, I'll ask him about that later.
Yeah. So I have a friend who is a professional, internet cretin. Like his shit posting skills are immaculate. And so every now and then he either invites me to like a Facebook group chat or a random Discord, or just sends hilarious memes via WhatsApp. So when he sends me this Discord to some random anime server, I thought nothing of it because well, it's just what he gets up to, right? I like anime. And so what should have thrown me off, and it didn't because I'm too trusting, is this the server wants people to scan a QR code with their phones. And I thought, wow, these anime Discords have really stepped up their game. All right, respect. So I scan it, and then next thing I know, I messaged like 25 people, unintentionally, of course, all of whom are now invited to this anime server. So I'm like, oh, so this is what happened to him. He trusted somebody too much. Now I trusted him too much, and now thankfully nobody I know trusts me. So nobody goes into the server.
I don't know what that says about you.
People were right to do it, right? Like one guy came close, and he's like, "Okay, the QR code threw me off." I'm like, "Bastard." He's the right amount of skepticism. So I'm going through all of the messages, deleting all of them before they see it. And then I think, well, all right, I guess that's that. That was a fun prank. Some harm done, but some people lose entire Facebook accounts. Like I was talking to a friend of mine, and like the next day he was telling me that his cock was massive. And I think, this is really out of character for you. So I'm emailing him. He's like, yeah, my Facebook got hacked. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. So like, this is going around. People are getting hacked in like different areas. So sooner or later, it had to be my turn.
Yeah.
And then it happened again. Only this time, I didn't join anything. I was just minding my own business. So the fact that these messages are being sent out again, and I have no idea why or what was the consequence of it, I'm like, okay, enough is enough. I got to shut down my Discord, start fresh. And you know what? I actually don't mind starting a new Discord over. I feel like, there's a lot of Discords that I visited like once and then just kind of fell out of interest of that particular thing. Sorry, Rivals of Ether, Ontario. So, yeah, the point was to bring up something hyper specific. So I've got two channels now. Yours is and Earth's, and I haven't even joined my own server back again. But yeah, so that's that. Don't scan. Ask your friend what is just being sent. That's the takeaway. Okay, don't trust your friends. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, I think that's a very important segment right there. It's just like, when it's all said and done, if you get a random link, and unfortunately my mom experienced this. I sent when the new Resident Evil trailer came out this week. Spoiler alert, we're going to talk about it. And it came out this week, and all I did was send her a link. My mom is smart, so she immediately messaged back, "Did you just send me a link?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a Resident Evil thing. It says it right there." But it didn't give you that like little card at the bottom. All it was a YouTube link. That's all it was. And I was like, oh my god, yeah, that looked shady as could be. And so yeah,
it was like you and then a dot and then tube, and it didn't still look right at all.
It didn't look right. So I think that's important. Always clarify with somebody if you sent it. If there's a link to something with no context, or even just not send a message back, because a lot of the bots that and automatically hack into the account, all it does is send out the links that it's coded to do. It's not going to respond back going, yes, trust me, please, accept link. And if they do, it's Joseph's fault. But
Whenever I send a link to something, like whenever I find something I figured you might talk about, sometimes whenever it doesn't show a picture of what it's supposed to be, I just chalk it up to lag or something.
okay, Charles is our next victim here. Let's just mark down the date.
I mean, the stuff when I send something, I have never got a message from Joseph from his hack thing.
Yeah, it disappeared quick. Like
It only
literally
sent.
sent
It
and
only
it
sent.
disappeared.
It didn't send message to everybody. That was what I thought was like.
Interesting.
Just why not? Why would you not send all the messages?
just-
How inefficient.
At all.
Yeah. And then on WhatsApp today, one of my friends sends a survey to win a barbecue from Home Depot, and then he's like, "Sorry guys, this was a messed up message." These bots are surprisingly accurate in terms of like what target market they're going after. Like, of course, I'm gonna fall for my friend's anime shit post in Discord. Of course, that guy who just recently became a dad is gonna start sending out barbecue barbecue surveys.
That's fair. Anything else happened through your week?
Yeah, I got hired for another contract. I'm giving it some time just to make sure that, like, I'm happy, they're happy before I say the name and everything like that. But so far, it's been pretty good.
Awesome.
The interesting challenge has been to try to get my audio to sound the way the previous episodes sound, to just try to like make sure that it's indistinguishable so that no one will notice that there's a difference. And I think I got it within like 90%. So
Nice.
I should be good. And in terms of the content itself, I'm relieved because it's more right-leaning content. Like, it gets 10 minutes in and they're like, "You think they're just gonna stop at your 9mm? No, they're coming for your 50 calibers." I'm like, "I'm home. I'm home."
You're like, I'm home. I made it. This is where I'm at in Canada.
So it's I'm just hoping that it turns into a nice solid routine work, and the interview with it went great. It seems like really good dudes, and so it's definitely some of the more positive I've been feeling towards anything that I've applied for lately. So yeah, if that part feels good. And then what else? Started watching a bunch of like horror movies on. We're about to get into Resident Evil, but we've got the free trial for Shudder for a few days because my girlfriend Jen wanted to watch The Sadness, which is a zombie movie, except that everybody also can still talk, and they do whatever horrible thing comes to their mind. So words that I don't feel like saying out loud, but most people know exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
And then watched Day of the Dead, which is like part of the George Romero filmography. If you're into zombies, it's really worth checking out some of George Romero's early works because he was the director that made zombies popular and established a lot of the rules that we still use to this day when we're talking about zombies. So Data that it was interesting. It's very much unlike other zombie movies. It takes place in a bomb shelter.
Right on. Sounds like. Yeah,
Sorry.
Go ahead.
You know the movie Dawn of the Dead? That's a remake of a movie that Romero did, because Romero did a movie of the same name.
Yeah, so Romero did one, and then Zack Snyder, who people know from 300 and The Man of Steel, he did the remake of Dawn of the Dead. Both good movies too, by the way. Different, but both were equally good.
The ending of the one that Snyder did freaking leaves it open if the survivors are still alive, because last thing you see is them getting to the island, and then a horde of zombies somehow on the island, and the last thing you see is freaking...
Yeah, it's kind of ambiguous, but in my humble opinion, they are super dead.
Yeah, because there was quite a few zombies, and we only ever hear like gunshots, and I think we see one zombie go down in front of the camera after it gets dropped, and then the movie ends after that. I think, and like you said, Joseph, I think those people probably got overrun by all the zombies.
Yeah, like their only hope was to like turn the boat around and get back to the water as quickly as they could. But
Plus, the boat was out of gas, and it's like because they thought they were finally safe, and they made it to the island. Nope.
See, only thing of Dawn of the Dead I remember is Hollywood Undead, Day of the Dead. That's
That's
it's
a
a
song by a
reference
freaking.
to it, but that's the only thing I remember of Day of the Dead is Hollywood Undead. It's a band. I love it, and that's all I remember about it. But it sounds
I
like
remember.
everyone's
Sorry.
week's been pretty interesting. Go ahead.
I also remember from Dawn of the Dead. There's a dude with the same name as me. One of the mall cops.
Yeah, I wanted to.
Oh, CJ.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought BJ.
Well, when are you not thinking about that?
A good point. Good point. But yeah, so that's definitely good. Everyone seems like they're having a great week. My week's been all right, to say the least. We have actual videos getting ready to be filmed and worked on, so I'm super excited about that because I've been like grinding at everything else this week. Messed up a TikTok today. So mad about it. I messed it up. So many people are commenting the fact he messed it up. I'm like, no one messed it up. I get that I messed it up. Like it's different from doing like a typo. It's okay. So what happened was that I made a TikTok and I did everything else. It's supposed to loop over itself, so I get the 110% watch time, and that's what gets you further out on TikTok. So I do this, get it all done, and I realize I messed up the audio. The audio's messed up. It's too quiet, or it was too loud. So I was like, I put it in my phone's editor, redid the audio for it. It was good to go. Send it up. Realized my audio or my editor puts a end card at the end of it automatically, and I just remove them usually. I forgot about that. So, and I'm rushing at this point. I got up at like 7 o'clock this morning. Went for my hour-long bike ride, got 6 miles in, and got up, did the rest of my workout, got a shower, got coffee, started working on Brittany's project, started working on that, started editing that, and I forgot it. So it's literally like, and just remember, and then it cuts into a 3-second like, this was made by Cart Clips. Ha ha, download on Google Play. And I'm like, like I was so mad. I was like, really? That's what I messed up on this morning. That's what I messed up on.
That's like in a seeing behind the curtains kind of thing.
Yeah. It definitely is. I hated it. I hated every bit of it. I was so mad. Like I don't really get mad at myself because everyone makes mistakes and that's fine. But I'm on like such a high streak. Like every TikTok I posted in like the last 14 days never hit below 1,000 views now. I'm like just ranking it up there, and I'm like, come on, baby, just keep posting, keep doing this up, and get it up and going. I'm about 10 followers away from hitting affiliate on Twitch now. So I'm right there. I finished all the other stats necessary. I almost affiliate on Twitch for just being on there for 2 months. So I'm getting there. I woke up this morning with a lot of kind messages from bigger Twitch streamers being like, your content is just amazing. I think the words they used were, let me check my phone real quick. They were telling me that I need to go and I'll actually send this in Discord later so it can be added into the video so you guys can see it yourself. They're asking if I had a Twitter, and I was like, yeah, I don't use it. And they're like, you need to start doing it so you can reach out with other content creators. And then they're like, you need more recognition. You deserve more visibility. Your content is A1. That means like the best and things like that. So I was like, I woke up with that and I went, that's cool to wake up and having a partner Twitch streamer reach out to you and say that. I was like, man. And then I got the king that has over 100,000 followers on YouTube and has over 40,000 followers on Twitch reach out to me. It was a massive like, wow, how to know you're going on the right path, and then waking up to all that, and you're like, you go to bed late last night I think I went to bed at like 1 a.m. Went to bed just wanting to just nothing with the world. Wake up and then it's like all this positivity. I was like, that's awesome. I think that's really great. So yeah, it was a great experience. My week has been good just because of that. But I'm on a 5-day streaming streak. My day off is tomorrow that I don't get, so I don't get a day off until either next Tuesday or Thursday. So I've been streaming every single day since Friday. No.
Did anybody say anything about when we played the Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, or anybody say anything about freaking last night's Halo one?
No, I don't know what you mean about people saying stuff about it.
I was just saying, since you were saying that people were saying that your stuff on Twitch was so I was just wondering if they said anything about. You know,
No, people from Twitch, like bigger content creators, are reaching out to me on like TikTok and stuff, saying that like my YouTube content is like amazing with how I'm editing and everything else. That's what they were reaching out about, and that's why that was a big deal, because I can appreciate if people think like the streams and stuff are fun, but when they're reaching out on a different platform, just to pretty much say, hey, you're doing the right things, or your content is better than ours, or they're reaching out saying like you deserve so much more, like it's that of like, wow, they were actually, there's a group of creators now trying to beat my world records on Dead by Daylight because of that video, and now they're like, we're doing it, so now they're going to be trying to beat my world records, and I'm hoping they beat it, because I want to take another swing at this. The MMR, the matchmaking system, is now broken, and I'm like, oh, I could do it again. So I'm close to. I really hope they beat it. They're doing it like this Thursday or Friday, and I can't wait to watch them. And I'm just going to laugh at them, being like, "Ah, you suck." It took me 18 hours to beat the original one. So yeah, if they sit there and take another 18 hours to do it, oh, I'm gonna be sitting back, just rubbing my stomach, eating some Cheetos. I'm going. That's how you know I'm excited. I'm just like. So yeah, no, it was a great time. But I will sit there and say, speaking of great times, and on the creator side, there's a TikToker who made a TikTok video, and their video they made was showing that they made a realistic cake. They made a realistic cake. We can put it right here up on the screen in the edit. Obviously show it. And so they made this realistic cake. And
well, hang on, sorry, you keep saying realistic cake. All cakes are realistic. It's a toilet.
the cake is a lie.
Bro, I get it. They made a realistic toilet out of cake.
Okay,
are you
thank
happy?
Yes, I'm happy. We have context.
Thank you for correcting me. Appreciate it. Love you.
Love you too.
So they made a toilet that is out of cake. And it looks so realistic. Like, there's no joke. Like, if you saw this, you would be amazed. And so this creator makes this cake, and she made it for a video. And I'm gonna state right now what video it was for.
Allegedly, but you know, if you just look at all of the facts.
She didn't say the name.
95% sure. We're 95% sure we know what it is, but we don't have a smoking gun.
She didn't say the name of the creator, but let's just say hypothetically it was Mr. Beast. Hypothetically, it was Mr. Beast who did it. And she made this cake, hypothetically, for Mr. Beast for a video, or at least a content creator. And they made it. They did not have a signed document. They had only pretty much, hey, I'll do this for you. Yeah, that works. And they got it through. Well, this content creator that may be Mr. Beast decided to not use it. And they used someone else. Now, I will state this, that always in business, if you're doing something that takes time, money, and dedication, sign a contract, get an actual agreement, and do it. People get burned all the time for this, and unfortunately we see this content creator getting it. Now, with this happening, it raises the question of, do we think this content creator was in the right or wrong for not using them? Now, obviously, what they decided to do for this video must have worked out, because they didn't use the content creator who originally made the TikTok. It obviously worked out more than fine, and they didn't end up using it. But what's the opinions on this? What's the opinions? Because I just want to just dig this wide open, but I need to let the other people in this podcast go. So what are you guys' opinions on this?
I just think it's one of those things where if it really was Mr. Beast, and apparently they must not have discussed how this whole thing was supposed to work, because takes a lot of work and time, and probably quite a bit of money to make a cake toilet, you know?
Yeah.
That's my thing too. I mean, you know, was he aware this was being made for him specifically for this? Because I mean, then that's, you know, just rude. But I mean, if he wasn't aware of what exactly it was he had to use it or something, you know what I'm saying? You really can't blame him either, you know.
100%. Joseph.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, you asked here what my opinion is, and the problem is that I have like 12 opinions on it.
I know, me
because
too. Me too.
There's like a lot of moving parts. So the first thing that because I'm the one that linked you to the TikTok, and one of the things that the cake maker had said is instead of using this cake that she had made, they used a video that she had created showing the process, and they had taught that to another cake maker, and then that cake maker goes ahead and makes the cake. And she didn't say who it was, probably because of an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. But if you go into the comments, people, I mean, the hypothetical person, his videos get quite popular, and so they're saying, "Oh no, it's not him, is it? No, no, say it ain't so." And then he's being called out, and I expect a public statement. I expect someone to say something, even if it's like a denial. Now, when this is turned over to the court of public opinion, our instinct, rightly so in many cases, is to side with the aggrieved, in this case the cake maker, because she thought she was going to do this. She thought she was going to get paid, at the very least compensated for the work that she had done prior, even if it didn't necessarily mean anything past that point. And then our next instinct is to also immediately say that the hypothetical, who at this point I'm getting tired of keeping track of the hypothetical thing because my head's starting to hurt, Mr. Beast, was like, with malice aforethought, says, "Oh, okay, yeah, no, get her to make the cake video, and then we'll steal that video, and then we'll just get our cake maker to do it." The odds of somebody being that like malicious are possible, but pretty slim. Anybody who makes their bacon off of media knows how quickly word can spread. And the more popular somebody, it wasn't always like this, and it only became like this somewhat recently, definitely in my lifetime. But if word can spread, and word did spread, and that's why we're talking about it today. Now, I don't think Mr. Beast, with malice aforethought, explicitly decided to rip this cake maker off. What I assumed happened is that one of his handlers, somebody who was in charge of like the production of this, the producer for this video, may have gotten into a disagreement with her about compensation, about royalties. Maybe there was like a rule of some sort where it says, okay, if we're going to use this, you're not allowed to make like another one of these cakes or something like that. Some weird contractual agreement that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it's one side trying to be protective. And as a result, ended up just annulling the agreement altogether. That to me is actually a more likely scenario of some weird miscommunication, and the producer wanting to wash his hands of the incident altogether and just saying, screw it, we know a cake maker, we'll just get him to do it. That to me is slightly more likely than someone doing something this malicious. Now again, just to reiterate, people can be this malicious. It's just it gets less likely over time because it can be turned over to the public so easily. She didn't even have to say who it was. All she had to do was say that she made a toilet cake, and everybody else put the clues together.
Yeah, because at this moment in time, Mr. Beast releases his Chocolate Factory video. He made a Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, pretty much. He got Gordon Ramsay involved. He got so many big content creators involved. He got all this going for him, and he admits all the time. He has the idea for the videos. He's in the videos. He does a lot with the videos. But when it's all said and done, he has a team. He has a manager team that gets him in the places. He gets him in these spots, that reaches out to these people and do the footwork there, and like gets them the phone numbers so they can go ahead and talk directly. Like, he has a team that does all this. And like you kind of described, is what more than likely happened, a manager or someone else that wasn't Mr. Beast might have reached out, miscommunication, not signed the contracts, but still had the, don't talk about it agreements. And now I will say, with this cake, I do know exactly who made it. There was no credit to who made this cake in the video. But I know who made the cake because she has a signature of how she makes the cake. I know who made it. She's been trending on YouTube a lot recently because she's been making these realistic items that are cake. So I know who exactly did it. But there was no recognition for anyone of who did it. Nothing in the description, nothing on the video, nothing. There's not any proof of who made this cake in that video. All they said, one of these are cake. So I'm thinking what probably happened. There was a massive miscommunication thing. One person made the video, the other person did the cake. No one communicated properly. They just said, cut it. They said, cut who made it. We got the cake. We got the agreements. We got this. Let's just do it. It's already in the set. It's already built in the set. I think that's personally what ended up happening. And unfortunately, I don't think someone like Mr. Beast, not saying it is Mr. Beast, hypothetically, but someone like Mr. Beast would not purposely screw over another content creator who works so hard. And I'm pretty sure if he found out about this, he's going to make it up. He's going to do something. He's going to reach out to them in a following video saying, hey, I want you to do this.
Yeah, it's really hard to believe
what
the
happened
guy
before.
who just like actively gives away millions of dollars.
Yeah, and he helps charity. He has his own charity. He gives food away. He built wells in Africa now. Like, he's doing so good. So the idea that he sat there and screwed over a content creator on purpose, I don't see. I think it's just a massive miscommunication. But that's why I always say, get contracts and documents. Yeah. At least and there's something.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I appreciate it. And it made me reflect on what I've been doing recently because as our longtime listeners know, my primary work was dissolved in February, which tends to happen when a person voluntarily quits. Okay, put those goals together, people. Yeah. So I spent the next 4 months. I mean, had some work, but I didn't really have like a primary focus, a primary means of income. And I think I finally got one, but this is just day one. I don't know what's going to happen next week. Fingers crossed. Pray to God. And it's been, it's been very difficult. And it is I don't know how many like professionals there are that can make a toilet cake that's that good, but I would imagine based off how many people there are in the world and the gross domestic talent, there's probably quite a few, which means that there might have actually been multiple people all trying to get their creation to be the one. Or maybe if they're lucky, like the backup toilet in case the first one falls apart during the video, like the understudy.
Yeah. I mean, if something were to happen, what happened if they made the cake and it fell right before the shoot? They need to have a backup.
Or what if, God forbid, somebody, accidentally thought it was an actual toilet?
Someone, oh man, I'm on set, man. I gotta go.
Thank God there's an EpiPen here in this chocolate factory. The EpiPen's a cake too. Oh, Dad, this is the worst thing for my blood sugar levels. This is the complete exact opposite of what I needed right now. So there was one project. If you remember a few episodes ago, one of the projects that I had applied for, didn't get, but I applied for, would have paid like $2,000 for about 4 days worth of work. It was like the best paying job I've ever seen on Upwork.com in all of my years of freelancing, which are numerous. I didn't get that job, but the work that I still had to do work to try to get it. Applying for work still takes a great deal of time. And so so it is possible. And now I wouldn't peg it for this situation, but I can see it happening where somebody puts in a lot of effort and feels like they got kind of screwed over, or they just feel like they're not getting any recompensation for their attempt to be able to do the work. If you're in that situation, the work that you do to try to get a job can still be of value in the long run. One of the things that I did in trying to get that position was I took video of my editing technique so we can see exactly how good and how precise I was. It, again, didn't get that role, but it's helped me actually quite a bit since then. Now I use that video as part of my application to show people like actual proof of like this is how granular that I can get when it comes to editing audio. So, people can get very discouraged. They put their heart into it. They really think I've got this, or they're desperate, right? They're like, oh man, I've got to have this, or it's a mixture of both. And it doesn't come to fruition. It's still a net gain. You'll still get something out of it, but you have to understand how to use the proper channels, understand how to market yourself on social media, collect the stuff as samples so you can use it for your next for your next application, and keep moving forward.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing too that I seen the other day, it made sense, is these people, they go in and do a job, they get the job done right the first time, knocked out in a short period of time, and people were like, okay, well, what's the bill? And you get in the bill and they're like, well, this is ridiculous. You're only here like 30 minutes. Like, yeah, but it took me 30 years to know how to come in and get that job done right, to get in and out of here, to get you back up and rolling so you're making money. You know, I mean, people got to keep into consideration. There's years of experience to get up to this point. She didn't learn how to make that toilet overnight. You know, she didn't wake up and say, oh, I'm going to make the toilet out of cake and make it look realistic. That is 20, 30, 40 years of work that she put into this, you know?
Yeah.
And it's a lead up to this couple hours it took her to make this cake. And, you know, you're paying for that years, like for you. I mean, you know, you're paying for them years of experience you had doing video editing and audio editing and such, everything you do. You know, it's the years involved. So, you know, can they use her product? And that's a bummer. Hopefully it wasn't done out of spite or you know, just being mischievous. But, you know, still you got to keep consideration that's still years of work to lead up to that point. You know,
I agree with you completely, and I think the disconnect there is that that there's a lot of jobs that are, I mean, the compensation is derived from the labor. A very simple example is working fast food. You labor, you go in, you flip burgers, you take orders, you sweep floors, you do whatever it takes. Now, now in a position like that, somebody can get like wicked good at it, and assuming that they don't, you know, go into a management position or change roles, what ends up happening is, okay, they'll get their raises either because it's, you know, by law, or the company just has to give people like a yearly raise. The better they get at the job, the more the work that they end up having to do.
Exactly.
Now they swept the floors, and half the time the other person, oh well, you know, you're on the clock here, buddy boy. Now you got to go over and, you know, and sweep up the bathroom.
And it's irritating. Yeah. Because you get your job done better and faster, and all you do is pound more crap on top of you. You know, a lot of people who don't work that hard are just sitting off to the side doing nothing, taking forever to clean one grill, and this person cleaned the whole entire restaurant in the same amount of time, and they're getting paid the same amount of pay, and it's ridiculous.
That's pretty much what I've been dealing at the place I work at. I freaking bust my ass and get everything done I'm supposed to. And yet everywhere I walk around, there's always either somebody goofing around or not doing what they're supposed to. And mostly it's these freaking kids that are young that make me feel freaking old as hell, because they're like 14 to 16-year-olds, and they're just freaking hanging out either in freaking the dry stock or somewhere freaking vaping when they know they're not supposed to and shit. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for me, it's like, you know, I make good money with doing what I'm doing now, and I'm actually home, you know, but, you know, it's a sacrifice over 20 years of, you know, these guys having stuff going on I wasn't there for and everything else, you know, because I worked my way up. I learned. I didn't just drive a truck from point A to point B. I kept bettering myself. Every time I swapped jobs, it was to get bigger and better. You know, I hauled stuff bigger than most people would ever imagine. And I've been on roads you couldn't imagine putting a car on, let alone an 18-wheeler with an oversized load on it. You know, but I've worked my ass off to get to where I'm at. And you got these guys out here for 5 years sitting there saying, well, oh, how could I get that job making that kind of money? I mean, you know, I still, even though I'm spending that kind of money, I'm not doing as much. I'm still busting my ass every day to get that paycheck going, to put money in everybody else's pockets, you know?
Yeah, so, yeah, you're good. So with all the hard work that goes into, like, in the sense of, like, working at 9 to 5 to make more money, or to put more time into, like, so you can have a better living situation. Like with her situation for the cake, is she put a lot of time and dedication into her job, but so does someone else. Because you give someone, and right now we just pretty much tested that same idea, is she has 15 years of experience to do this. They didn't take her product and say, we're done. They showed it to someone else who also has 15 years of that experience to make that finished product. So, like, I just still don't see anyone getting gypped on, or not even gypped. I don't feel like someone like Mr. Beast purposely said no. I think what probably ended up happening.
Purposely, I think there's information we're still missing in the storyline. I really hope so, because if not, that was really just low. I mean, there's a lot of work. It really is.
Yeah, but
even for the gentleman down below me. Sorry, I can't remember your name.
Joseph.
You know, you still, in order to apply for that job, they only paid a couple grand for a couple of weeks of work. You still had to bust your ass to get some of good quality to give to them. You know, and okay, yeah, they didn't accept you for the job, but you could use that for something else now, thankfully. But you know, it's still though, you still put hours and hours into getting this thing all ready to go for that interview to get tossed off to the side, not accepted for it, you know. And it's you know, I really hope there's things in here we don't know about, some kind of maybe agreement that wasn't been up to or something. I just really hope it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, as far as my situation goes, I use Upwork as my platform. So as a freelancer, it's good to have Upwork's support, because at least that way I don't have to be completely on my own. I'm just mostly on my own, and it's the most competitive freelance platform out there. Fiverr is pretty competitive too, but Fiverr is a little bit more entry level. So I'm going toe to toe with some of the best freelancers in the world, and the fact that I was like in the running is a pretty
I
pleasant
get
takeaway.
that. Yeah, definitely.
I just know there's a reason why some of these professionals that have to go and spend like years to master, stuff like electrical work and IT and editing and all that crap. They had to go through like years of schooling and shit, which probably cost them quite a bit of money. And that's why they want so much money for the stuff that they do, because they have that freaking they have that whole that document and everything that says that that person went to all that schooling and everything, and they've been trained and they certified in this stuff.
Certificates.
Yeah.
I just want to get like one more thing off my chest, and then I'll close my side of it. But the one thing that's always frustrated me is that I decided to be an editor about 10 years ago, a freelance editor, and at that time podcast editing was mostly unheard of. Some people were doing it, but it wasn't exactly like to what it is today. And so I can say with confidence that I conjured that job out of thin air. And it took me a lot of years to build up a Rolodex, build up the experience, being able to solve the problems when they come. And the thing that always frustrated me the most is whenever I vent about my frustrations and somebody says, well, maybe you should put your passion aside and go find a job. I'm like, but it's not my passion. I like it. I'm happy to do it. And a lot of my passions are tied into it. But my passion is writing and storytelling and things that start with Z and end in Elda. So for the disconnect between like some of my closest friends and confidants and family members be like, you should really just like go find a job and worry about and come back and do your passion later. I'm like, oh, I'm weird. This is the closest thing I get to a job.
But here's a counterpoint to that one is Gary Vee is a successful man. And if he sat there and put a 9 to 5 ahead of his passion, he wouldn't be where he is today. And he's a prime example, and he teaches that as well.
Like, even if I assume at one point or another he needed income to at least pay his bills so that he can have time to put into these other things. I couldn't live with my family anymore for reasons that we'll get into when we do Skull Hunter After Dark. Like I
gotta do it one day.
I have to be independent. I have to live live on my own, with my partner. It was non-negotiable. So it had to be done. And so, I intend to get to that point. My strategy is to transition into writing full time by the time I'm 40. So it's not like I'm putting it off completely. I put time aside each week to work on my novel. It's definitely an active process. But I do agree. I do validate what you're saying, because there is certainly an element of excuse making that I'm guilty of. And that if I grit my teeth a little bit more, made a few less excuses, I think I'd be further along in that way. At least a little bit, 10 to 15%.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing is, and this is something I had to, I guess, force myself to understand and learn, is the decisions were made. Now there's nothing that can happen. Keep moving on. You made a certain decision. Keep on going through how you decided it, and now make that your focus. Like if you made a massive decision change, guess what? You can't go back. You can't hit repeat. Just go with it. Just don't regret the things you don't do, but then when you do something, don't regret the fact you've done it. And that's a big thing, especially in career paths. I think career paths alone. I mean, you walked out on a job. You walked out on what could have been your house and home. Look where you are now. So I mean, it's not much. I'm joking. But, you know, you look where you are now. You had more experiences. You had a chance to actually edit this podcast, and it got you to where you are to this point. So,
yeah, I don't know what good that house will be if I'm mentally ill by the time I'm in it.
And that's the thing. I mean, you know, it's like whenever my system finally comes out and gets rolling, a lot of things I'll be talking about too is, you know, you got to make, when you feel something you need to do, you need to make the decision to do what it is you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you're always going to sit there and ask yourself, you hear this all the time, well, what if I wouldn't have done this? Or what if I would have done this? You know? And I mean, you really have to sit there and weigh out your pros and cons. You can't just jump feet first into a pool full of sharks and not hit one. You know, I mean, you got to do your homework. But, you know, people's got to understand the way our environment is around us. It's all energy. Everything that exists is energy to exist. And you got to put that energy, and focus in what you want to do. You're going to be successful, you know, but you got to stay positive. You got to put the energy in, and the work's got to be there, you know. You got to put the work in. Now, I mean, you can't say I'm going to quit my job and become a dentist for a shark. You know, I'm sure you're not going to have much work. You know, but you know what I'm saying though. I mean, you put the energy out there of your positiveness and what you're going to do, and you put everything into it. You put your heart and your soul into it. You're going to succeed. But a lot of people are so afraid to take that step. And I congratulate you and even Jordan. You know, he took a step that, you know, even me as a father was sitting there going, you know, I mean, I know you like to play games for a living and everything. You want to make a career of it, but, you know, as a father would, you need a job. You know, you get off your ass, you need to get a job. But he did that. He didn't start out gaming full time on YouTube. Now he was working full time, overtime, everything else. He busted his ass, and he slowly got his YouTube channel up and rolling. He got it going, and you know, now he's you know, he can do better, and he knows he can, but you know, he's still highly successful at what he's doing, you know. And he just, sometimes you just gotta take that step, leave that comfort zone and step out of it. But once you step out, you gotta learn how to swim.
Yeah, I think that was a good way of putting it. And at least like knowing that, in the sense of this lady is making her cakes and stuff, she's still successful. She's still gonna be successful.
She will
and
be.
this opportunity,
you know,
if anything, is gonna help her. Even though she didn't get the Mr. Beast spot, this is gonna be big for her still.
Because as you see with, like, you know, you have these different rappers that out there, and even the country rappers and the musicians and that, they oh, you know, start, you know, this battle against this person, this battle against this person. Well, you know, you want to hear the other person's response. Now you go over and you follow them. You know, all you're doing is creating more followers for both people on both ends. They're not stupid. This shit's being done on purpose, you know, because they want to see, people want to watch that fight. Everybody likes fights, you know. So, okay, well, oh, these guys are battling against each other. Oh, I got to see what he's got to respond to. He's going to respond to this. I got to see what he's got to say. You know, oh, I can't believe he did that. Oh, what he respond back to now, you know, and they're doing that purposely to create content for both and followers for both people on each side, you know.
Yeah, with the girl, she didn't have to make that video public, and she could have released it so much sooner, but she didn't. She waited a little bit. She waited a little bit longer, and she released it. Perfect timing, because the main video just released. And that could have been in a contract, but no matter what, she's gonna get people following, because now they want to know, do you hate Mr. Beast now? Are you gonna start bashing on him? Are you gonna start doing this and this? And people are gonna be checking Mr. Beast's social media, seeing if there's gonna be an apology. Because if Mr. Beast sneezes in public, people are like, Mr. Beast just sneezed on a woman, and then they show the clip and they're like, what do you think? So
we got swabs. They're trying to like get his sneeze off the sidewalk.
But you know, there's people like that, unfortunately. But I hope we are able to talk about this in the future and see that there was no malicious intent on it. Because I think that would, if there was some kind of sort of malicious intent, even from Mr. Beast's managers to Mr. Beast, that would make me look other directions. But we don't know both sides of this. We don't even know her side of the story. All we knew is they didn't use her cake and they used her video. That's all we know.
It is interesting that like she just couldn't outright say who it was. And I don't know if that was just because she was afraid of liability
But I also
or
don't
like
think she
legal
wanted
action,
to
or
bash
if it
him.
was an NDA. Because then it's like, well, hang on, something was signed, but it wasn't like
That's where I'm coming
fully.
at too.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know all the details yet. I think there's some more here that we're not aware of because of all
Mhm.
this.
Yeah, I definitely think there's some more to it. But we juiced that. We juiced our subject pretty well. Now there's a subject that I know there's people are excited and scared about to talk. But Resident Evil 4 is getting a remake, and that is exciting because I said Resident Evil 4.
Yeah. No, I was just writing remake in cursive.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like trying to like shut up.
Yeah, this is my convoluted way of telling you you got to cut. Yeah.
You just start doing it. When I start seeing the swish and the flick, I know what I'm doing wrong.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Not Leviosa. Yeah. But Resident Evil 4 is getting a remake. This is one of the last Resident Evils in the number series to be getting a remake. Now, the reason that this is exciting news and this could be terrifying news is because we have received many remakes in the past from Capcom and from other game creators. But this last few remakes that Capcom has made, as we know, they released Resident Evil 2, and then they released Resident Evil 8, The Village, and then they released Resident Evil 3, the remake. So Resident Evil 2 sold over 10 million copies on this remake. Big success. At the same point they were doing that remake, they also were making Resident Evil 3. So they couldn't like stop and change something. They made it at the exact same time with the exact same layout, everything. So then they released Resident Evil The Village. They released Resident Evil 3, the remake. That is where things take a turn. Resident Evil 3 remake got made. It only sold 5 million copies. Still a lot of copies they sold. But compared to literally the remake beforehand, it cut it in half by 50% because the remake for Resident Evil 3 was not what people wanted. It was not even close to being satisfying to the Resident Evil franchise, and it wasn't even close to what really people remember about Resident Evil 3. So with a lot of what fans are speculating is that this is just going to be updated graphics. That pretty much just update the graphics, update the scenery. They're obviously going to have things play, but a lot of fans are seeing and hoping that they just up the graphics, change some scenes, but it's exact same layout. I don't think that's going to be the case because they can't just copy and paste something like that. If so, they would do a remastered, not a remake. Now, I have a lot of concerns about this, but I'm going to go ahead and see what everyone else thinks about this. How do we feel about Resident Evil 4 Remake?
Hopefully they don't fuck it up, and hopefully it'll be better than the last couple of remakes that they've done, because if they fuck up this one, and a lot of people are really gonna be fucking pissed, because the people, I know including you, Jordan, that Resident Evil is a lot of people's favorite Resident Evil in the whole franchise.
Yep, Resident Evil 4 brought in shooters.
It's like me with Halo 2 into Halo 3 when the Master Chief Collection came out, because like I grew up playing Halo 2 on the original Xbox, so when I heard they were going to be coming out with an anniversary remake of it like they did with Halo 1, I was freaking excited. And you've played that game with me, Jordan, so you know what the original graphics for that game looked like on the original Xbox. And I was happy with how good the game looked in the newer ones, because it literally looked like, especially the cutscenes, they looked like something straight out of a movie. That's how good they are.
Yeah, they did a very great job on the remastered of Halo's 2 Anniversary. They did a fantastic job with that because they actually made the graphics look so much cooler. But it's also nice to see the old graphics. But I hope they don't mess it up, because for those of you who may not know, Resident Evil 4 was actually a GameCube exclusive, and it did so well. And as GameCube was dying, Capcom released it out to the other platforms, and that's where all the copies were sold, all added up. But it was a huge success into the Resident Evil survivor horror category to shooter survivor horror. And it made that gap. And we've seen it before with Resident Evil. They were trying to do their Dark Chronicles, where it was all first-person shooter. It didn't fly. It wasn't as great. People still know the game exists, but it did not do much.
Sorry, you mean Umbrella Chronicles?
No. But
the on-rail shooter one where like you're just
there was
pointing
three.
with
There was the
emotes.
Dark Chronicles with Leon Krauser in it.
Okay.
And then there was Umbrella Chronicles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
Oh, you're good. But they did a bunch of those on the Wii. That was the first person shooters they tested out. They all failed. But Resident Evil 4 turned it into a shooter, but a third person shooter. That did amazing. They had so many nominees. They were actually nominated for an Emmy. They were nominated for an Emmy. You can actually Google it. I'm pretty sure you will find it. So they were nominated for it. Didn't win. But when you're gonna get nominated for something like that, it's amazing. But it was one of the first Resident Evil games that actually hit. And Resident Evil 4 was not even supposed to be the way it is today. But Code Veronica did not make the marks. Code Veronica was made slightly before Resident Evil 4, and that's why we see the massive graphic difference and everything else.
There was also Resident Evil 0 on the GameCube. That for a lot of people was when the fatigue was setting in, and people said, I think we've had enough of this.
Yep.
And even the designers agreed with that. There was an early prototype of Resident Evil 4 that was going in a very different direction. They had settled on the over-the-shoulder thing like pretty much right away. But in the early prototype, it wasn't like walking through that village with the angry Spanish people. It was ghosts, and there was like a suit of armor that attacked Leon. So it was still a lot more. It was more like I guess I would say like a Lovecraftian kind of horror direction they were going with it.
Yeah, but that wasn't a third person though. They had it laid out like Resident Evil 0 one. No, because they had it like way out and about. I'm pretty certain about this. Search up Resident Evil 4's demo.
I'm gonna have to, because I remember distinctively that it was over the shoulder, but I am also
I can't be wrong. I haven't seen it in years. Like, that's how big of an impact Resident Evil 4 has made, to where you remember it the way it was when it first came out, and you also remember it like the way it is now, and people will still sit down and play the game, and it's still as best as it was.
It looks like you were right.
Yes,
because it's a fixed camera angle. Maybe they did both. I'm gonna play the footage.
Okay. He plays the footage to see if he's. I mean, I'm totally fine with that. The only reason I know a lot of this is because on my TikToks I had to start searching up Resident Evil facts, and the fans were just like crazy about, like, he knows a lot about Dead by Daylight. Do you think he knows about Resident Evil? My family play Resident Evil. Yeah, I know a lot. Thank you very much.
So you and I, you get 70% of the marks, but I still get 30%. He was shooting over the shoulder. So when he went into aiming, it went over the shoulder. There were some shots where it's over the shoulder, but it was largely fixed camera angles. So that's why I remember it that way, because I probably only saw the over the shoulder stuff and didn't register the other stuff.
But that right there is an experience that not a lot of people are going to remember. And that's the shame of it. Like, a lot of people will not remember that GameCube experience, or they will never experience the GameCube experience from that end. So that's where I'm really hoping Resident Evil 4 makes a huge impact on the remake of it, because it's going to be such a big deal for Resident Evil fans who are just now getting into the industry and after.
But like when I was growing up, I was just too scared of the Resident Evil games to really play them. Like, I played the first one, but then I would get to that room in the basement where I think that the zombie is laying down on the table or something like that, and I'm just like, I can't do basements. I'm done.
Is this Resident Evil 1 remake?
This is the Resident Evil 1 that was remade on the GameCube.
Okay. That
was remade on the GameCube.
Yeah, they didn't have a basement on the original one.
It was like the cellar or the like the downstairs kitchen. I'm like, all right, I'm done. I can't do this. I'm
next to the elevator.
I'm a growing
need
boy.
To get a battery for.
But Resident Evil 4, I was just old enough, and I rented it, played it for the weekend, and aside from those monsters that show up later on in the game in the laboratory that will pull Leon in, I actually wasn't all that scared of the game. It was because you had said that they had gone from like survival horror to more like survival horror action, and I'm actually going to oppose that, because I think the survival aspect was taken away, and the reasoning is you can now collect things from fallen opponents. You could collect ammo, you can collect resources. So I mean, yeah, you could run out of ammo, but you weren't. So it was very much like, okay, now it's action horror, and they went with the action horror for quite a while until 7.
Yeah, 7 was a big impact.
Yeah,
and I'll definitely admit that. But we're hogging the Resident Evil topics.
The one thing that like surprises me about this remake is if they're gonna do over the shoulder again, is just because Resident Evil 4 originally set the benchmark for the over-the-shoulder
I think they have to.
experience. So these newer ones were, borrowing from that design and bringing that into number 2 and number 3. So I thought maybe what they'll do is actually go first person with it, just to realign it to the newer ones.
I don't think they will. I think they had an opportunity to do it with Resident Evil 3. That would have been an actual opportunity, or at least give you an option for it. But even with their Resident Evil 3, their Resident Evil Versus, and then their Resident Evil weird thing they released with 2 and 3 with their remakes, they had an option to do it first person there. It was only a multiplayer shooter game, pretty much. They had an option to do it there, and they didn't. And
Revelations?
that's where... No, they
Those
they
are good, by the
released
way.
I love the Revelation series. But they did something to it. I'm trying to think. Man, I can't think of. So, but yeah, they there's 2 games that released. There's Resident Evil 2, you got Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil something. It was literally like a little mini game where you could play as the zombies, and you could play as, it was kind of like that thing they released with Operation Raccoon City. It was kind of like that, except you could play as your heroes.
Outbreak?
Maybe I think that's it. It was something like that. They could have added first person in that, and they didn't. And I think if they decided to, if they made it a feature so you can like switch from first person to third person, that could be a good experience to try to see. That could be their test bench to see, okay, would people like this for older Resident Evil games to kind of have that experience? Or if they should just keep it over the shoulder. I think if they don't do the both, they should make it over the shoulder, because they did it with 2. It was an amazing experience. They did it with 3. They never really complain. People never complain about that. They complain about the storyline.
Well, they complained because Jill was wearing pants. That's why it sold 6 million less copies. She was in pants.
She was wearing pants. She shouldn't have been wearing them.
They wanted, and it's not even like just a guy's thing too. A lot of girls also looked up to her.
Everyone loves the badass skirt, shirt tied around. But that's a lockable outfit you can get though.
But this one here you got Sherry on, so I mean, with 4.
Yeah, that's true. I can't wait to look at the skirt.
Well, my thing, is they definitely, from what I can see, definitely redid the graphics on it.
Mm-hmm,
so I mean, they did a wonderful job on that, like freaking 50 times better than what it was. Being this one of the ones that there's first views of the first monsters come out, the Cyclops, the big shot Cyclops dude, or whatever it is, and some of these are the first monsters to Resident Evil to go into 5 and everything. So hopefully they keep that aspect, the aspect of if you rescue the wolf at the beginning, it helps you with when you come up against the big monster there later on in the game. So I'm hoping to keep like little aspects of that, but I also hope they change some other things around. I mean, I like playing the remixes and the remakes and stuff, but I also want to make sure it's different.
Yeah.
I want, because especially for me, for your mother, she's got to be able to play a game where she's not sitting there thinking, oh, okay, well, when I played last time with this, it was this, and type it in, ready to go. It's not a challenge for her.
Yeah.
I mean, you know yourself. I mean, she can fly through these games in no time. And and if you're trying to do something, she's like, oh, you got to do this, and this. She has a book. Half the time she's going to look at it. She has it all memorized.
Sure, that once or twice. Nah.
Yeah, because she's a Resident Evil guru. And but hopefully they change it around a little bit, make it a little more challenging, but keep some of the original first time characters in there. Keep the small little aspects of the dog and everything in there, and I think it'll be pretty successful. I think it'll do pretty good.
Hopefully Ashley, whatever the hell her name is, won't be as much of a pain in the ass as she originally was.
I hope.
Sure, it'll be a pain in the ass no matter what. She is in all the games she's in. One little bit.
What? Yeah, it's
not
Ashley,
a badass like Jill or Ada or
But I think
it Sherry in that one.
Yeah, it's Sherry, the president's daughter. In Resident Evil 4. Yeah, Resident Evil. 4.
Okay. I thought you said
Sherry's
it wasn't her.
the one from Resident Evil 2 and 6. She's the one from those ones. But
the mayor's daughter.
No, the president's
daughter. Not the mayor's daughter, but someone's random daughter in Resident Evil 2.
It's I don't know.
Resident Evil 2. It's
in 4, she's the president's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Resident Evil 2, Sherry is Birkin's daughter. The tyrant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Big eyes.
So
I thought,
as
I
far
thought Chris's partner in Resident Evil 6 was Sherry.
Chris's
that's
partner,
Shiva.
no, Jake's partner in Resident Evil 4 is
Jake,
Sherry.
yeah.
Okay.
Chris's partner was
sorry, I said
Pierce.
Shiva, but that's part 5.
yeah,
That's
Sheva's 5.
5 and 4,
I
yeah.
hate that I know all this off the top of my head, but yeah. No, Jake's partner is Sherry from Resident Evil 2. I don't think Ashley makes an appearance. No, Ashley doesn't make an appearance because the president in Resident Evil 6 is not the same president from Resident Evil 4. The president's changed then. And Ashley has nothing to do with Resident Evil 6 when Leon shoots the president. So,
Okay, fair enough. One thing too is that the Resident Evil series is probably one of the first. It might even be the first series to do a proper remake, because they remade Resident Evil 1 from the PlayStation onto the GameCube. And I can't, off the top of my head, think of any, especially like any notable game series that had done a remake to that level of quality. Because it's if you remember what I was like complaining about before, is that when they do these HD updates.
I did not expect to see that.
Not to be thrown off my game when that happens.
When Grumpy just shows up all of a sudden, licking his lips and shit.
Yeah, the GameCube Resident Evil, like that one is the kind of update that to me is a standard. I mean, yeah, structurally it's the same, but they didn't have to change it structurally. And you get the extra areas, and I'm still off my game. I'm still off my game. I don't want to be the guy that just totally ignores the dwarf. People watching like, wow, this guy is just a stick.
He hates small people. But no, you're right. Resident Evil is like one of the first ones to like really remake their games. Like we have Halo that remade one of their games, or like remaster, but not remake. They didn't remake they didn't remake any of the Halos though. They only remastered.
Halo 2 anniversary of both remakes.
No, they're remastered.
Or remasters.
Yeah, remastered and remakes are different, and that's what we talked about last week. Was like people mix those up a lot, and that it makes people's wants different. Like people will be like, "I want the remastered," and they think it's a remake, and then they get disappointed because they can't read.
Before Borderlands 3 came out, they came up in I think it was a remake of the original Borderlands that you could play on the Xbox One with. Minor additions and changes that they made to the game, which honestly made it even better than it already was. Because that game it's still fun to play even when it came out back in 2009. But that enhanced version with has a mini map from Borderlands 2 and the changes that they made to it, it's even better.
Good. But
they would do that and bring back.
Yeah, and overall, they what I really appreciate about the Resident Evil series is that their remakes have not invalidated the previous games. Yep. Like, to me, having played Resident Evil 2 for both the original and the remake, both are appealing to me. I can see myself feeling like I want to play either one of them in the future. Same with Part 3. And even not as much, but the PlayStation Resident Evil still has some charm to it that might get me to do a run of it. Although that one is a little less valid because the GameCube remake is just so good.
Mm-hmm. I will say the one I really want, and I don't care, like I really want a remake for, and I've been saying this, is Code Veronica, because like that is one of the most unfun to play Resident Evils, and I hate to say that because like it has a massive storyline. It connects Resident Evil 5 to 3. It does such a good job with connecting. Literally, they even talk about Leon being overseas with the president's daughter. Like, they literally talk about all this stuff in Code Veronica, and it has such an impact. They even talk about Wesker having a sister and all this stuff. But you don't want to play the actual, like, game of how it laid out. It's so stretched out, and it has the good, like, puzzles back and forth thing. But my thing is, I wish that they would cut a lot of the game. Little Stavey doesn't need to be in there, but he obviously should. But no, Code Veronica, if there was one Resident Evil I was like really hoping they would do, is that one, because Resident Evil 4 is still fun to play right now. But if I said I'm gonna play Code Veronica, I would literally search up a guide just so I can get through it as fast as possible.
Yeah, just like play it on easy.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah,
And I wouldn't.
I'm not.
But that shouldn't be their response when I want to play a Resident Evil game, though. And that's
No,
what I hate.
I'm just telling you that's what I would do. It's
Yeah,
just
I
like,
mean
I'm
that's
just
what
gonna
I
play it
would
on
do,
easy.
but like
I don't feel like
all
it.
the other games, I would play on normal mode because I love the experience. I love what the natural
Yeah.
experience for the game is. But that would be one. I would play in easy mode, get through it as quick as possible. Oh,
Yeah.
left, up, down, A, B. I get an infinite gun. I'll do it. Just get through the game. Like, and I hate to do that, but it's one of those games where I don't know. I just wish they would remake Code Veronica. I feel like that would be a good one. They could
With some of
remake
the
it.
filler cut out.
What's that?
We want it remastered or remade in case of Code Veronica with most of the filler cut out.
I just want all the nonsense, like the whole prison or the like cages in the beginning, like the whole like having to go back there constantly just so you can save. It's dumb. You don't need to go back there at all. And they're like, but you can go back there and get a thing of handgun ammo 30 minutes after playing. You can go back there and see all the new zombies there. You don't want to, but you have to save. You have to get your stuff. It's like, there's some parts in Code Veronica,
I love how those who just cancel them out, by the way. Oh, well, I got all this ammo, and now I have to shoot. the zombies.
Exactly. Get that out. That part didn't need to be in the game to begin with, and now you're like, but you get rewarded for going back. I get rewarded by using up the ammo, or I'm one of those sweats who go, if you go in the door, come out, go back in, go out, go back in, and then there would be dancing and doing the Harlem Shake, and you can just run through, get in, get out. Like, no, I don't want to do that just for
Harlem
15 extra bullets. It's not worth it. But yeah, I think Resident Evil 4 has a massive hope to it right now. Like, I think a lot of people are going to be like crossing their fingers because this could either be a great experience for Capcom Resident Evil fans all around the world, or this could be a Resident Evil 3 situation and only sell 5 million copies. And I will remind you, this was off of this year's document. They sold over 11 million copies of Resident Evil 4 from start to now. Resident Evil 3, they've only sold 5 million. And
well, Leon's wearing pants, so I don't know, guys.
I don't know. Ashley, you know, she might just turn into a dude. We don't know. They might be like, well, you can look up her skirt.
I'm Ken.
We can get canceled, so let's just not. So, but
Or sponsored. I mean, I'm just saying. The one thing that I wanted to say is that like the over the shoulder is cool, first person is cool. I don't think I'm gonna see any of like the like old school cinematic fixed camera angles in a Resident Evil in the future, which is too bad because that is my favorite of all of them. I think it's the most cinematic. It adds horror to it because there's an uncertainty about what's coming, even if it doesn't make sense logically. Like the zombies coming towards the character and the character doesn't respond because the player can't see, so there's a slight disconnect there. But aside from that, like I've always loved the sensation of just like walking around the house. It just each footstep has more, I think, of an impact because each step could lead into danger. Even walking through the same hallway than 100 times can still create tension. Somebody can still burst through a door, or there's some random scripted event or a hunter or something. So I'm not giving up complete hope, but it is going to be a while. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I wanted to relate real fast with walking and not being able to see. Like, there was an iconic scene in Resident Evil 1 where you, in the main hall when you first start, you go in, you walk in, and all of a sudden your character just starts walking back because the zombie's right there. Iconic. Everyone loves it because that's like, oh my god, what's happening? But I also want to state, like, Resident Evil 5 did try the whole cinematic, like, view back up. If you played their one game mode in Resident Evil 5 where you're Jill and Chris going to see Wesker, and that's how it all starts, they actually let you change the camera angles to the good old days.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
And it did not go over well.
Okay. Oh,
so
that's unfortunate.
So that's why I don't think we'll be able to see that again. And it's unfortunate because, like you said, but also that kind of helps the nostalgia, though. is like when you go back to play the old game, you get to see that old look to it and that old style to it. And yeah, we want better graphics, but I mean, leave it up to the the fans to up the graphics. We've seen it done with Zelda, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, if the nostalgia, if you get the hit for the nostalgia, I'm not gonna get in the way of that. But for me, time is lateral, so I don't really get nostalgic. I just want. I'm impressed when something still, is worth my time today because I'm getting older. My time is getting more valuable. So
Yeah, I
it's
can tell.
interesting to me when something can still have that draw. Okay, here's a random question. I think this will be fun, which
Okay.
is Resident Evil has already changed their format 3 times. They went from fixed camera to over the shoulder to first person. Let's suppose they're going to do it again. What could be their next major shift? Kart Racer.
I think you know what, Dad, go ahead. He's like, I don't know.
I really, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's going to be anything next. I think it's going to be either second or over the shoulder or first person view. I don't think it's going to be anything else other than that.
Yeah, I don't see him doing it because remember with the Wii, we had to where it forced you to like walk through it and everything else, like it guided you through, and all you had to do was
Yeah, they did do that too. Yeah,
like
they did
so
that
they
too.
did do that, and that was obviously a fail, but that was a big thing for the Wii back then. So
You could do an old school Metal Gear Solid and have it while you're looking down at your character while they're running around.
Up down. More like a stealth thing. Yeah. Okay.
they could do that. Oh yeah, like they could also do like a third person, like Dad, you played some of the newer Metal Gears where you can literally are just a dot in the center and you can like look around you like that. They could do that. I feel like if they did that, it would be an open world concept for Resident Evil.
That's what I was about to say when it was my turn. Is that I think that they could do an open world like a Raccoon City game where you're just like roaming around Raccoon
fun.
City and you're probably playing the role of a survivor, not like one of like the main characters, and not like a STARS member, just like a random dude who's, well, I guess this is my life. I'm just gonna stay in Raccoon City. Try
Before
to
it's
get
nuked,
out.
so.
You have like a week to get out before it gets nuked, and how you spend that week is up to you. Kind of like, what was that one?
Yeah, where you
Dead
got
Rising?
to find you still got to find your weapons and your food and just sort of shelter, survival, everything else.
Deal with the other survivors who might kill you.
and possibly click other survivors that but yeah,
Umbrella
like
might
you
come after you.
said,
Umbrella
Yeah.
You
might
might
try
have
to
to run
wipe
away
you
from
out.
Mr. X.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, Capcom, we just made your next game. I would like our invoice. But yeah, they could definitely do something like that, and they could even bring like iconic, like Charles just said, Mr. X. They could even bring Nemesis because he is running around the city, chasing Jill and things like that.
Bring Nemesis in, bring the big freaking Cyclops back in, and I mean some of the bigger characters and stuff you bring in, or the bigger enemies to bring in. I mean, but I think an ultimate Resident Evil game will honestly be like some of the top 5 locations on their games, and all in one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So if they would do something like
So-
that, what would be like the actual like, I guess, concept to the game? So like they brought those top 5 locations in the game. Would you be like the BSAA coming in to do something?
Yeah,
and you get...
like the BSA coming in and like, okay, so they got to fly in because there's a situation going on here. So they go in and they deal with the characters from, we'll say Resident Evil 2. Okay, we're in Resident Evil 2 area, and okay, so you complete that boss. Now, you got to fly over because they do it now even in some of the other ones where, oh, we got to go to Japan or China, wherever the hell that was. They had to go to because Ada Wong was over there and shit. They were following Ada around. So, but now you're flying from Resident Evil 2 to say Resident Evil 4 location to do a mission there, and then over to Resident Evil 5 to do a mission there, and you know what I'm saying? So bringing back the old characters, the old enemies, but have your walking like modern, not click 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 click.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that'd be pretty cool to see. Something that kind of brings all the top 4 or 5 into one. Kind of a game thing. I think would be pretty neat.
You know, I think would be really crazy. It'd just be like a marketing stunt where like they don't actually call it a Resident Evil. They just call it like City of the Dead or something like that.
Yeah,
And it actually dawns on the player little by little that they're playing a Resident Evil game.
That's
And then like
a
they
Resident
end up
Evil,
at
right.
Spencer Mansion. Like, whoa, wait a minute, this is Resident Evil. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. I think there's so much Capcom can still do before this Resident Evil idea is done. And unfortunately, with Resident Evil 8, we see that Chris is not doing so hot. But I will say, like, even though Capcom Chris isn't doing so hot, they do make tons of references through like Resident Evil, and they do experience like the bad endings as well. So here's a little Easter egg. It's spoilers for anyone who haven't played Resident Evil 8. But there we go. So in Resident Evil 8, there's a scene where after Ethan gets kidnapped and pretty much killed, Chris is in the car smoking a cigarette. And he's smoking the cigarette just how he would if you got the bad ending for Resident Evil 1. So in the helicopter, he would get it out, pull out, just start smoking it like that. And it happens the exact same way through it. Now, Joseph?
Man, I got to remember to look at myself when I'm editing this afterwards.
Yeah, I don't want to explain too much after the first like 30 seconds, but yeah, all you have to do is when you take off your headphones and then just kind of like pause it, highlight over it, or just keep clicking until you see your headphones back on.
Well, I'm just taking off my headphones while I'm editing. I'll just like...
that works. That works too.
Yeah, don't worry. I got this.
Okay. Well, no matter what, I feel like Capcom has options, and I think that's great.
And you know, it's like with what is that? 5 or 6 where it's the son of
Wesker, Jake, Resident Evil 6.
Jake, yeah, you know, I mean, so now you have an offspring of the enemy on there with Wesker, with Jake.
Yep.
So I mean, there could be other offsprings, you know, like Ada and Chris always had a thing, maybe they had a child or something, you know. So there could be offsprings going on also, you know what I'm saying?
But do you mean Ada Leon?
Leon, that's it. Yeah, Leon.
Oh, there's so many spoilers I want to release.
I'm not the Resident Evil guru at all, so.
There's so many spoilers, but like for the example of, I'm not releasing any of the spoilers, but like for the example, like Offsprings, we do have, like you stated, it is Jake from Wesker's breed, does have a kid, and Wesker's sister's dead from Revelations 2, so she's dead, but we have Jake. And if the rumors are true from Resident Evil 5, Wesker is still alive, and since we see kind of little glimpses of it throughout the future, high chance Wesker is still alive, so they could be one last final hoorah of Wesker trying to find his son, because we know Jake wants nothing to do with him, but Jake also is mad that he's dead, so there's still like that massive disconnect in a sense, so, but...
Wesker could be alive, because I've seen at the end what happens to him the last time anybody saw him, I don't want to spoil it either, but I'm pretty sure he's still freaking dead, but I don't know.
So here's the sweet sauce. So when I love TikTok, thank you TikTok. When I made the Resident Evil video talking about Albert Wesker, I got so many people letting me know, watch the last chapter of the last mission on Resident Evil 5. Watch the credits. And I'm like, okay. And they bring it up why to watch the credits. Like, no Resident Evil game's done this. But if you notice something, you would notice a big difference. I'm like, okay, I'm watching the credits. And they're staying on this water scene for so long. I'm like, why are they staying on this? This is so weird. Why? They are right. They never keep it on a water scene like this. It would either be a still photo, even then it would move on after so long. Only Resident Evil game to do it. Before the credit scene cuts, you see a shadow swimming through the water to follow the helicopter. Now, that could be taken in many ways, but you're telling them... Exactly. And that's what I mean. I literally threw my headphones off and went, a shark would have been swimming past it before. You could have gone away with that. But you're telling me right before the credit scene like cuts to the black screen of credits, there's a shadow swimming in the water following the helicopter's direction against the current. I was like, he's alive. And then going through Resident Evil, going through the new Resident Evil games, you do see like hints and stuff like that. But what really did it, there was a Resident Evil game, and I won't talk about this long because we are running out of time. I won't talk about this long, but there's a Resident Evil game that did get made that talks about the cleanup of Resident Evil 4, talks about the aftermath of Resident Evil 5. Who knows all these stories? Who knows this much detail in it? And you hear the glimpse of the guy's voice, it sounds exactly like Wesker. At the end of the game, they give you the time and date of the last mission they did. The last mission they did is during Resident Evil 6 time period. So if this guy who sounds like Wesker, who knows what's happening and all this stuff, how does he know all this stuff unless if he's Wesker? You wouldn't know this because it was a big flop and Capcom tries to hide that this game even existed. Luckily, I think I can find a copy of it and I'm going to be playing it whenever the new DLC for Resident Evil Village comes out. I'm going to be celebrating and playing Resident Evil games that just lines up to what I'm thinking was going to happen in Resident Evil 8. But yeah, it's and plus what really settled this out is there's a villain in Resident Evil 7 that dies, but he was trying to sell the virus happening there to someone who is known to buy bioweapons, including buying a bioweapon called Ouroboros. And I'm like, Ouroboros? Who bought Ouroboros? Interesting. And my mind started going. I'm like, he's alive. And I hate it that he's alive because, like, it's so dumb that they would keep him alive. But it's realistic. He's in lava. This man's in lava. A rocket launcher's gonna kill him? He's literally in lava, still kicking, still fighting. A rocket launcher that you don't see actually go through his face. He already has generation powers because of Ouroboros. What would stop that? And we've already seen the new mutation of Resident Evil 7 and stuff like that. If he got even a little bit of that, so much could happen. So there's a high chance that Wesker is alive and he could be making an appearance in an upcoming Resident Evil game. But I think Capcom has a lot of options, a lot of ability to make further games. And I think with Resident Evil 4, they have to walk on a thin line. And unfortunately, that's what happens when you recreate something that was so
but you know what?
good.
If anybody still has like lots of goodwill to spare, it's Capcom. I mean, who knew that making quality games and not sexually harassing your employees reflects well on the gaming industry, in the gaming community? Man, let me get a pen and paper. I gotta write this down. Don't sexually.
I still think the best game I've
guys, we
played.
gotta try this.
But one game that Capcom came out with that I've played that I really enjoyed was Devil May Cry 5. That game is one of my favorite games that's ever came out.
Yeah, big fan of Devil May Cry, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're big Capcom and Konami fans. That is sad that a lot of people don't know about Konami, but I mean, like,
majority of all our games are one or the other.
Exactly. Yep. So it's crazy. I hate the fact this new Call of Duty game coming out that the trailer's releasing later this week. Wednesday. I hate the fact that Activision still has a big foot in that water. I thought they didn't. I thought they were totally out of it. They are not. They hired another company, but they still have full say. Activision still is controlling this game. And with my contract being due, actually it was broken, but our contract being due with Call of Duty, I'm in mixed waters of should I even play this game? And I don't want to play it. I don't want to play it, but I want to play it. And I think it's just, I don't want to get competitive with it. And of course, because my friends base is all about, dude, you only got 10 kills this game, well, you suck. And I'm like, I'm gonna kick you in the fucking dirt. Like, I don't get overly competitive, but when it's a game that's like has got so much of my, like, that started, if anything, my little career, and it led to something bigger. So
I'm gonna say don't play it, because you're gonna play it. And your skills are gonna, your muscle memory is gonna start kicking in, and you're gonna start, like, you know, getting good at it, and you're gonna start feeling those old feelings again, and then you're gonna be caught in that competitive loop before you know it.
Yeah, because that's the unfortunate part is playing competitive is so much fun. Like, because when you get that win, even if it's on a side game or whatever, you get that win when you're playing competitive, where you get that score you're trying to hit. It's a massive adrenaline rush, and it's so, like, nice, especially like hitting those wins or getting the highest rankings in the competitiveness areas. Like, oh, I love it. But yeah, no, you're proving my point. You're literally proving it. It's like I want to, because it's such a big part of me and I love doing it. But yeah, I think it would really depend on the situation, and it also depends on how big I am with YouTube, how big I am with Twitch, and things like that. Because it's definitely not something I want to stream on my platform, because I know then I would definitely get drawn back into it, and I that would be something I wouldn't want to do. That's the reason the contract even got made, was because of the streaming side. So I don't want to do it, and I really hope that Activision doesn't have too much of a say with the actual product of the game, because obviously the Activision stuff they support a lot of bullshit. But when it's all said and done, I just hope this Modern Warfare 2 remake, Modern Warfare 2 remake, does do well.
Remake, it's pretty much a sequel to Modern Warfare 2019, and it shares the same name as the original Modern Warfare 2. And the tagline for this one is the ultimate weapon is team, because you have the 4 characters, Task Force 141 plus a new person, and I just hope the whole rumor about them being the villains in this one is untrue. Like, how can you turn freaking Ghost, Price, Soap, and freaking Kyle Garrick, aka Gas, freaking be the bad guys?
Money. I mean, honestly, like, we seen in Army of Two, you had Tyson Rios, and Rios ended up, no, not Rios, that's the same guy. Tyson Elliott ended up turning for money. We seen that in Army of Two AOT.
Got the Fear franchise where Paxton Fettel turned into a good guy. I didn't see that coming.
No, never seen that coming. 2 guys who'd love to kill. Well, who would see that coming? But it's. I think if the rumors are true about the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 remake, I think we will end up seeing that. If they are true, it's gonna be for money. Guarantee it. Or it's gonna be a plot. They're evil, and at the end, we're actually the heroes. So it's probably gonna end up being those ways. But I will say, through the teaser trailers real fast, I will say with that, I do love the fact of seeing Tim the Tap Man, a big iconic scene in Call of Duty. I love seeing him in there. I love seeing Pete Davidson, especially because he literally got in that right after leaving SNL. I was like, yeah, okay, I got it. I love it.
I'm just looking forward to when they do release that trailer Wednesday, and I'm looking forward to playing the beta, which is probably what's going to determine if I want to get this game or not, like it with Vanguard. So I played the Vanguard beta, and I have gameplay of that on my freaking channel. I'm thinking I was like, yep, I'm skipping this piece of crap.
I was disappointed with Vanguard so much. I was so disappointed in that game.
One time I've ever been on Call of Duty is when I was doing that whole freaking Operation Monarch thing that they were doing when they had Godzilla and King Kong freaking going at each other. This is the only time I've been on Call of Duty recently.
I haven't. I haven't even touched it. Honestly, ever since I played it for 24 hours on YouTube, I don't think I've touched the game. I just PTSD. That was a lot to go through. But
that was fun though, and I'm still happy that I was a part of that.
Yeah, Tab and Richard don't bailed out on me. Like, I never explained it. I don't think I've ever explained the fact that so Anthony also goes on Seven Souls on Twitch. He was supposed to show up for this video. He's like, appear yourself online, I'll join. He's like, I'll join you. And I'm like, okay. Never showed up once. And after it was done, he calls me, like, and remind you, I filmed it like a month beforehand. And he calls me after it's up. He's like, you didn't tell me you were doing this? I said, I told you this Wednesday. I was doing the video. Where were you? And he's like, well, you didn't say it was this Wednesday. I was like, okay, listen here. I even said I put myself online. I was online. Here I am. I was there. I was playing 24 hours. When you see, hey, Dante the Hunter 6 is on Call of Duty, and you don't see that change, good chance I'm doing the video. So, but yeah, I know. I totally just ratted him out. Hey, he can talk about it on the podcast. But yeah, we got to start wrapping it. So real fast, I guess, Dad, since you're new here, where you want to shout out your podcast or or your future podcast? Do you have any social medias you want to shout out?
Not really. I mean, Corndog 1973 on TikTok, Corndog on Facebook. But right now, I am working on getting a podcast up and rolling. I don't yet have a name for it. I'm thinking outside the box kind of thing, type name for it and stuff, but not really wrapped that in yet. So for right now, I mean, I plan on popping on here with you a couple more times here and there.
Yeah.
So by then, hopefully, I'll have some more information on what I'm doing with it. I'm really hoping to get it up and rolling here soon. Right now, it's time frames. I gotta get time frames worked out a little bit better. I got work trucks I'm working on, plus getting people dispatched out in their loads and stuff, and it's just been 16-hour days even here at the house where I really don't have much time to jump on much of anything. So, but the podcast will be, I don't even know how to really describe it. I mean, I don't want to describe it and turn people away from it. So we're just gonna leave it up in the air for right now, and when I get a better description, I think it's gonna attract attention. I'll let you know then.
Sounds good. So at least Corndog on Twitter and not Twitter, on TikTok, and Corndog
yeah.
on Facebook. Yeah, that works. Charles, where can people find you?
If you like watching either me raging about something that has to do with wrestling or NASCAR, things involving video gaming stuff, mostly freaking Destiny, because that's what I mostly can play, except sometimes when I play Halo with Jordan, sometimes someone else. And you can just go to my channel, CJ the Lone Wolf.
Sounds good. Joseph, where can people find you?
They can head on over to giantenemycompany.com, and that will take them to a myriad of places where I have dipped my toes, or the whole foot, or even a leg.
Any other body parts?
Nope. No, thought about it very carefully.
Just
Stopped at the leg.
to toe a little bit off the leg. Okay, cool.
Shoulders, knees, and toes.
Knees and toes. Man, that was the best one. If you want to find me at Skull Hunter Games, anywhere you search that up, you will find me. We are on TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook. I'm working on Twitter. My fans have been wanting me to go on Twitter, so I'm gonna post 30 days straight. Please hold me up for that. And then if you want to find this podcast is where we're all at. You can find it at Skull Hunter Podcast. Anywhere you get your podcast from, it's not our business, but it is on Spotify, iTunes. Anywhere you get your podcast from, you can find this one. Just search up Skull Hunter Podcast. And even on Facebook and YouTube is where you can find the video version of this. Spotify is still working on their video features. Anchor is trying to work on it to where you can just upload the video feature and it will split the audio out of it. They're still working on it, so hang in there. But yeah, that's where you can find us. And thank you, Anchor, for sponsoring the podcast. They've been here since day one, and they're continuing to support our podcast to this day. They are releasing new editing features. Like I said, you can upload your video podcast, and then it will export the audio out of it. And so you can get the video and the audio version of it out on all the platforms. They are trying to get YouTube and Facebook connected. They're already getting Facebook connected with the audio podcast, but they are not quite connected with YouTube yet. So they are working on those features, but you can do simple things like once you get your Anchor ad, you can sit there and do your voiceover, put it in a little slot, and then you can just add them in whenever you're doing your podcast. Just make sure to hit create a podcast, not a quick podcast. People get that confused. Want to make sure that is stated. But thank you, Anchor, for sponsoring the podcast. Guys, we done it. Thank you, Dad, for joining. It was great to have you on.
It was good to be on here. Next time my camera and everything will be set up a lot better.
You know what? It worked. It worked. Next week we will have another special guest.
You're technically on par.
Yeah. you are. I think he's actually at a 720 480 right now. I think is what his resolution is. So it's there. Yeah. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Note to self. See if I blinked as much this time as I did last time. I blinked.